Today, we'd like to start with another conversation, and this one's very important also. It has to do with what are your options if you want to start a new business in California. We think there are really three basic options for you, and I want to go through all those today briefly to give you a good understanding of what's out there and what can you expect to find. So let's get started. The first thing you have to understand about buying a business, you have to understand this very basic principle. Most people that decide to sell a business, most, not all, probably 95, 96, maybe up to 98% of the sellers who make the decision to sell their business do so because of a financial issue. Frankly, there's something wrong with their business financially. That's why they're deciding to sell the business. So a fundamental concept that you have to understand from the get-go is that most of the ads that you're seeing on the internet, while they are telling you differently, they're telling you the business is making lots of money, everything is wonderful, and you should buy today, the truth is very different. The reality is that the majority of people who own a business and make the decision to sell the business do so because of a financial issue. Now, we call those business opportunities broken businesses, meaning there's something wrong with them financially, they're broken, but they can be fixed. But we know they're broken. So when we're representing you as your broker, we're going to guide you through this minefield of problems to hopefully help you to understand a couple of things about that. But fundamentally, as you go out looking for businesses for sale, you must understand this very basic principle that despite what the ads are telling you, when you're looking online and you see everything looks wonderful and it says they're making lots of money and they only want a 2 times earnings price or whatever it is, you have to ask yourself, well, if it's doing that well, how come they want to sell it? Because when people buy a business, they don't buy a business because they like the color of the walls or they like the logo or they like, superficial things. People get into business to make money, and owning a business is all about income. And when the income drops to a point where it's no longer supporting you, that's when you're going to want to sell it. So first thing you need to understand is the issue of the actual fact that the majority of businesses you're seeing on the internet aren't as they claim to be, those that are advertised for sale. So today we're going to talk about these three options for you. You have basically three. The first option is to buy what we call broken business, or a business that has financial troubles. That's the first choice. The second option is going to be to buy a profitable business. Obviously, that's a good one. Everybody wants to buy a profitable business, but if you listen carefully to what I just told you, the majority of businesses that you're seeing advertised on the internet are not profitable. That's why they're for sale. So this is a big disconnect where the buyers are probably seeking something that's really not even available. Most buyers want to buy a business that's profitable at a fair price. Most people want that. The disconnect is that what the buyers are seeking isn't really what's being offered. What's being offered by the sellers are businesses that aren't profitable. Now, the sellers know what you want as a buyer, so they're going to pitch their business as best they can to make it look like it's profitable, when in fact, in most cases, it's not. So when you hire a firm like BizBuilder to help you, that's what we're going to do. We're going to help you to discover the truth. So three choices, three options. Option one, buy a broken business and fix it. Option two, purchase a profitable business that requires no fixing. And the third option, start a brand new business. There's advantages to that too. So let's get started, and I'll talk to you about all three of these. Now, we're going to go into the first one, which is purchase a broken business. So you've decided that you want to buy a business. You understand what I've said to you, that the majority of businesses you see on the internet are broken. despite what the ads are telling you, they really aren't doing as well as they claim to. But you still want to move forward. So here is the 3 things that we're going to do for you when we're helping you to buy a broken business, and things that you need to think about regardless of who helps you. If you're doing it on your own or you're using another brokerage, you decide to use some other company, keep these 3 things in mind. The very first thing that we do here at BizBuilder with clients that we're representing that want to buy a business that's in a failure state is to help you discover the truth. That is, what is the real reason it's for sale, not what the ad is telling you, because the ads are always going to say all these crazy things about how wonderful the business is and the owner's retiring or moving to, Jamaica or wherever they're going. The reality is usually very different. And as I said, the reality usually is they're for sale because of a failure in performance. So the first thing we're going to do is help you to verify and confirm what the truth is. Very, very important. Number 2 on that list, once we know what the truth is, the second thing is, can we fix the problem? Is the business failing because of a management issue, or is it failing because the employees are, stealing all the money? Or is there another issue involved that's causing this business to fail? This is very important because you need to know, if you're going to buy this business that we already know is failing financially, can we fix it? Because if we can't fix it, then probably it's not a good business to buy. Usually it can be fixed. Usually it is a management issue is the number 1 reason businesses fail, or lack thereof. Maybe there's no management. So we try to discover, can we fix the problem? The third thing on that list, after we've figured out what the truth is, number 2, can we fix the problem? And the third and most important of all is bringing the seller down to earth on the purchase price. Remember, the seller is advertising their business as being lovely and wonderful and making lots of money, and basically lying to you because they're looking for a buyer who's dumb enough to believe what's in the ad that's being presented by the broker or sales agent, right, and buy their business. Unfortunately, buyers that go down that path oftentimes realize later they've been ballyhooed. They ended up believing the broker and the sales agent and the seller, and they get in the business, and 3 months later they realize the thing isn't making anything. At that point in time, they paid way too much money for the business, and they have a serious problem because they did not have proper guidance to figure out how to fix the problem when they bought it. So the third thing on that list is bringing the seller down to earth on the purchase price, because maybe the seller wants $300,000 for a business that's only worth $100,000 in its current state, right? So if we're able to discover these 3 things for you on a broken business, number 1, the truth. Number 2, can the problem be fixed? And number 3, can we buy the business at the correct price it's worth today? If you are able to do all 3 of those things, you can have a very good investment and a great return on your investment. And that's what we do when we're representing buyers, is to help you to accomplish all 3 of those steps when buying a broken business. Now, other brokerages are probably not going to want to do this for you. First of all, they're not going to want to represent you. First of all, most business brokers do not want to represent the buyer. Why would that be? Well, because they're going to be lying to you. They're going to be trying to convince you to buy the business and making all sorts of earnings claims and other things to get you all hyped up and excited to buy. The last thing in the world they want to have is a fiduciary duty under contract to represent you. So they're going to stay clear of that. They'll usually try to have you sign a non-disclosure agreement and other tricks that they do to try and avoid representation. Well, we're the reverse of that. We do want to represent the buyers because we do want to protect you and keep you away from bad deals. So when we're representing you, you can count on those 3 things being accomplished on any broken business that we're helping you to purchase. 3 things again in summary. Number 1, you remember? What's the reason it's broken? What's the truth? Not what the ad says, not what the broker, the listing agent or broker is telling us, but what's the real reason it's for sale. That's very important. You need to know that. Number 2, if you remember, can we fix the problem? If we can't fix the problem, we need to pass on that opportunity, but usually they can be fixed. And number three, can we buy it at the current price it's worth so that when we make these repairs and fixes, you have a very quick return on investment. Maybe the business is only making $50,000 a year, but after fixes and corrections, it's up to $150,000 a year. You may have a less than a 1-year return on your investment. Fantastic. And we do this a lot with the buyers that we represent. Okay? So for the first category, purchase a broken business, you now know there are 3 things that have to be accomplished in order to succeed at that. Unfortunately, many buyers do not have the chance to recognize these 3 steps and ultimately end up paying too much for a broken business and oftentimes lose their life savings. So we want to try to help you avoid that. The second option available for you is to purchase a business that's profitable, one that's not broken. Well, I already told you that purchasing a business that you see advertised on the internet is likely going to be a business that's failing or underperforming or what we call broken. Well, how are you going to be able to find a business that's making money then? Well, the answer to that question is it's not for sale. We often tell people the business you're seeking to buy is not for sale. It's not listed for sale, but it can be purchased privately and confidentially. Now, I'll give you an example of what we refer to as a confidential private sale. We may have a client that we know who unfortunately has been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And that particular individual has a very profitable business, does not want to advertise to the world their personal situation, but needs to sell the business privately. That's what we call a confidential private sale. It might be a divorce. It might be a medical issue. It can be a lot of other issues, partnership breakups, things like that. Confidential private sales are not technical listings, so they're not on the internet. You wouldn't see them. They're sold privately, confidentially, and what we say, they fly under the radar. So in other words, other buyers and brokers have no idea that these things are even available. We do offer to represent buyers for confidential private sales under what we call an exclusive arrangement. So you'll need to give us a call on that, but basically you'll be signing a document that provides us with the authority to be your exclusive broker in California. That's how you gain access to confidential private sales. One thing you need to know about confidential private sales is magical things can happen when you're in a process of looking at one of these opportunities. And here's why. Again, understand those businesses are making money. The seller or the owner of the business isn't desperate to sell, and they're certainly not lying about their earnings. They usually have very good financials, and they're profitable. But because it's just you and the seller connecting together, we only allow one buyer at a time to meet with these sellers. You have an opportunity to connect. Maybe you'll go to dinner. Maybe you'll meet their family. We've seen cases where sellers, we had one seller in the last year and a half who ended up financing $1.5 million of a $2 million purchase interest-free for 10 years. That's a lot of savings of interest. We could have never done a deal like that with a regular business listing. But confidential private sales are very, very different. In this case, the buyer and seller got together, they hit it off real well, and the rest is history. We've had many other examples where confidential private sales have ended up being very good opportunities for buyers. On a confidential private sale, it's likely that the seller may offer to finance you. Now, is a seller for a broken business going to want to finance you? No. No, never. The seller that's trying to sell their business, who's aggressively listing it because it's broken, financially not doing well, of all people isn't going to want to finance you. They know the business isn't making any money, so they're not going to want to be the bank. But for profitable businesses and what we call confidential private sales, it's very possible the seller may in fact offer financing if they like you. Why not? They know the business is profitable. They know they're going to get their money back. You never know. And they're not selling the business usually because of a financial need. So magical things can happen on those confidential private sales. If you'd like more details on that, give us a call. We'll be happy to talk to you about that. The third option that you need to understand about is buying a business that has no history, basically starting a brand new business. What's the benefit of that? Well, when you start a brand new business, you're not paying for past earnings. Remember, when you buy an operating business, what you're basically buying is you're guessing on future earnings based on a history. So if the business has earned $100,000 a year for the last 5 years, it's a pretty good guess it's going to make $100,000 a year this year. So you would base your valuation of the business based on past earnings. But when you're starting a brand new business, there are no past earnings. So you're not paying for, what we call goodwill. You're just starting a brand new business, and therein lies the big advantage. Instead of spending $500,000 for the pizza restaurant you want to buy, we'll help you to start a brand new pizza restaurant for practically nothing. Maybe a few $1,000s for equipment, but you won't be paying for goodwill. Now, the upside is obviously it's much cheaper to start a new business. The downside, as everyone knows, there's a greater risk involved in starting a new business because of the learning curve and because of issues that can prevent you from being successful. Oftentimes people that start a new business, by the time they figure out their mistakes, they're out of money. So we can help you with this. BizBuilder, one of our core business models here is helping people to develop new businesses. That's why we call ourselves BizBuilder, because we help you build your business. So we're all about helping people to develop businesses and also helping you to plan for an exit strategy so that you can sell your business eventually for more than you paid for it to begin with. So starting a new business is a good option as long as you have a firm like ours to help you and guide you through the minefield of mistakes that people often make. One of the first things we'll do when we're representing you that way is develop a very solid business plan. That's very, very important. So those are your three options. To summarize, you can buy a broken business, you can buy a profitable business, or you can start a brand new business. All three of them have pros and cons, and in every case, if you have a brokerage like ours representing you, we will do our very best to help and guide you to success. Our basic goal here is to keep people away from bad opportunities and do everything in our power to make you successful. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.